The first text that lit up my phone that morning said, "You ruined our vacation." Then another followed before I could blink. "Mom, how could you do this to us?" My name is Elira Caldwell, and I was sitting on the edge of a quiet hotel bed on Tybee Island, far from anywhere my daughter believed I was. My phone shook in my hand as messages poured in one after another. My daughter Coraline typing as if each word could yank me back into the life I had stepped away from. "Where are you? The boys are crying. You said you were right behind us. Answer your phone right now." I read each line without moving. The last time she had spoken to me with this much urgency was years ago, when her older son had a fever and she expected me to drop everything. Now it was because I was not pushing a luggage cart behind her, not unfolding strollers, not shouldering responsibility she insisted belonged to me. A voicemail began to download. I pressed play. "Mom!" Coraline's voice cracked with fury. "We are at the gate. You said you were parking the car. They are calling boarding groups. What are you doing? You ruined our vacation. You ruined everything." I closed my eyes. I could still hear her from the night before, waving me off in her hurried way. "Just meet us inside, Mom. We'll check the kids in. It'll be easier." She never waited for my agreement. She never asked if it was easier for me. Another text flashed. "They will not let us delay the flight. Do you understand what you've done?" I let the screen dim. I had done nothing more than step onto a different plane. They had no idea. While they were rushing through the terminal at Savannah, I had been in the air heading in the opposite direction, finally choosing a weekend that belonged to me. A soft knock came from housekeeping outside the hall, followed by silence. I breathed in. Steady. The first quiet breath I had taken in months. Their vacation had already begun unraveling, and I was not even there to hold the strings together. I stared at the darkened screen, knowing Chapter 2 of this mess had started long before this morning. The night everything snapped. I was not even given a choice, I was given instructions. We were seated around Coraline's dining table, her husband Rowan cutting pieces of overcooked roast, while the boys argued about which cartoon they wanted to watch. I had barely taken my first bite when Coraline clapped her hands lightly, the way she always did when she wanted attention. "Okay, everyone," she said, lifting her phone like she was presenting a prize. "I have a surprise." Rowan straightened. "Tell her," he whispered, nudging her shoulder. Coraline beamed at me. "Mom, we booked a family vacation. All of us. Next weekend." I blinked. "You booked it already, of course," she said. "It was easier that way. Flights, hotel, everything. You do not have to worry about anything." Rowan nodded. "We figured you'd be relieved. Planning is stressful." I set my fork down. Relieved. No one asked if I was free. "You are always free," Coraline said. "You told me you do not have anything urgent going on." I felt my chest tighten. "That does not mean you can sign me up for a full trip." She waved my concern aside. "It is not a big deal. We only need you to cover the upgraded room for the kids. It is around $2,000. Nothing insane. And maybe the car rental, since you drive better than Rowan." Rowan gave a small, embarrassed cough, but did not protest. "And," Coraline went on, "you can handle the boys most days. Rowan and I really need a break. We have not had a moment alone in months. Handle them," I repeated. "Mom," she said, laughing lightly, "you are basically our built-in childcare. You are amazing with them." The words landed like a slap, soft, casual, but somehow bruising. Before I could speak, Rowan appeared from the kitchen with a cake. The frosting had 2 names piped in blue: Milo and Jamie. I stared at it. "It is their birthday." "No," Coraline said. "We just thought celebrating everyone together would be cute. The boys love blowing out candles." My throat tightened. It was supposed to be my night, my small celebration. But no one mentioned that. Coraline sliced the cake, humming. "This trip will be perfect. Mom, you will make it perfect. I folded my napkin slowly, pressing the fabric flat just to steady my hands. When had my daughter stopped seeing me as her mother and started seeing me as her solution? People think big betrayals hurt the most. They do not. It is the 1,000 tiny ones you are told to ignore. I raised Coraline alone from the time she was 2. Her father left with a suitcase and a promise to call, and neither ever returned. When she needed new shoes for school, I worked overtime at the community clinic. When her field trip required a fee, I skipped buying groceries for myself. When she wanted to join the dance team, I sold the necklace my mother left me. Every decision bent around her needs. Every dream I had folded into something smaller, flatter, easier to set aside. She never knew the things I let go of. I never told her about the art classes I wanted to take, or the trip I saved for when I was in my 20s, the one to Santa Fe that disappeared into wedding expenses. Hers, not mine. I remembered standing with her at the bridal shop years ago, holding a swatch of lace. Mom, you do not have to pay for all this, she had said, but her voice held the hopeful lilt of someone who already knew I would. And I did. I always did. I always. When she had her first child, she called me from the hospital while Rowan slept in the corner chair. Mom, can you stay the first few weeks? We are terrified. I stayed for 12 weeks. When the second boy came along, she handed me the baby before she handed Rowan the diaper bag. You know what you are doing, she said, pressing the infant into my arms. You always do. Over the years, the emergencies changed shape but always landed the same way. Mom, we cannot cover this doctor bill. Mom, daycare is closed again. Can you step in, Mama? Rowan forgot to pick up the boys. Can you go, Mom? We are stuck in traffic. Can you handle dinner? Every demand came wrapped in the same confidence that I would catch whatever they dropped. The last time she said thank you was 10 years ago. When I brought her a forgotten lunchbox during a school field trip, she hugged me quickly and whispered, "You saved me." I did not know I was teaching her I existed only to do exactly that. How many pieces of myself had I handed away before I realized I was empty? I did not shout. I did not slam anything. I just said one word. No. Coraline froze with the knife still pressed to the cake. Rowan looked up from his plate, eyebrows lifted as if he had misheard. The boys kept chattering, unaware that something in the room had shifted. Coraline recovered first. No to what she asked, her voice too bright. No to the trip, I said. Not like this. Not with me paying for upgrades and watching the boys the entire time. Rowan blinked. We thought you would be glad. It is a family vacation. It sounds like work, I replied. Coraline set the knife down harder than she intended. Mom, you are overreacting. It is not work. It is just helping. You always help. Maybe I do not want to this time, I said. She let out a small laugh, sharp around the edges. You cannot be serious. I am. Rowan leaned forward. Elira, the boys really want you there. They adore you. They adore me because I am the one who raises them when you cannot. I said, my voice quiet but steady. Coraline's eyes narrowed. There is no need to be cruel. I am not being cruel. I am being clear. You are ruining the mood, she snapped. This was supposed to be special. A surprise. You are making it dramatic. I am stating a boundary. I said, there is a difference. She pushed her chair back abruptly. If you did not want to come, you could have said something before we booked everything. You booked everything without speaking to me. I answered, that is because planning stresses you out. She shot back. No, I said. You booked it because you assumed I would fall in line. Rowan looked between us helplessly. Can we just calm down? Coraline ignored him. Mom, we need you there. Do you hear me? We need you. I stood slowly, folding my napkin with deliberate care. Needing me and using me are not the same thing. Sit down, she said, her voice cracking. We are not finished. I am, I replied. I walked out before anyone could stop me. The sound of Coraline's stunned silence following me down the hall. Why did one small word feel like setting off a bomb? The quiet that followed my refusal was not peace, it was planning. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table with my old laptop humming beside me. A blank spreadsheet glowed on the screen. I typed the first column header slowly. Flights, then hotels, then expenses. My hands shook, not from fear, but from doing something I had not done in years, choosing for myself. My phone buzzed once with a message from Coraline. We need to talk. I flipped it face down and kept typing. I opened my banking app and scrolled to the list of scheduled payments tied to her household. Daycare contributions, grocery transfers, a monthly fee Rowan was supposed to handle, but always forgot. My finger hovered for a moment before tapping cancel on each one. An alert popped up. Are you sure you want to stop this payment? Yes, I whispered. The word felt solid this time. A soft knock came from next door, and my neighbor, Ms. Lanton, called through the screen. You all right in there? Elira. You look busy. I said, I am making plans. She nodded without asking anything else. That was why I liked her, after she left. I pulled up flight listings. Most weekend trips were expensive, but one stood out: a morning flight to San Diego. I stared at the price. It was not cheap, but it was mine. I clicked through the details, my breath catching when the cursor hovered over confirm before I could overthink it. I pressed it. A confirmation email pinged instantly. I sat back, letting the realization move through me. While Coraline imagined me tagging along behind her, pushing strollers and digging through diaper bags, I would be thousands of miles away, following something that did not revolve around her. Later that afternoon, I drove to a small luggage shop downtown. The clerk lifted a gray, hard-shell suitcase from the display. Durable. Quiet wheels. Good for starting fresh. She said, I will take it. I replied. That night, I typed a short message into my drafts folder. I am going on my own vacation. I stared at the words, then saved it without sending. The sentence felt like a door cracking open. What would happen if for once I chose myself instead? We will meet you inside. Mom. They said it without looking back. Coraline was already pushing the stroller toward the sliding doors, Rowan juggling two backpacks and complaining about the wait. The boys ran ahead, shouting about airplanes. No one waited to see if I was behind them. No one asked if I needed help. It was the same rhythm as always, me trailing them, carrying their overflow, patching their chaos. But this time, my hands were empty. Coraline glanced over her shoulder once. Hurry, Mom, they are already calling early boarding groups. I will be right there, I said. She nodded, satisfied, and disappeared into the crowd. I slowed my steps until my family faded into a blur of rushing people and rolling suitcases. When I reached the fork in the terminal left for their airline, right for mine, I stopped. My heart beat against my ribs. Too fast, too aware. Where is Nana Milo's voice echoed somewhere behind me? Nana, wait. My breath caught. I could picture his small hand reaching for mine, his wide eyes searching the space where I usually stood. For a split second, the instinct rose, the one that always pulled me back into their orbit. I gripped the handle of my gray suitcase. Not today, I whispered. A security guard glanced at me. Ma'am, are you heading through this checkpoint? Yes, I said, and stepped forward before I could unmake the choice. My phone buzzed once. Coraline, we are at the counter. Where are you? I cleared security, shoes off, laptop out, the motions automatic. At the gate. The agent scanned my boarding pass with a soft beep. I walked down the jet bridge. each step loosening something tight in my chest. When I found my seat, I pulled out my phone. Coraline's texts kept coming impatient, confused, slipping into irritation. I opened my drafts folder, tapped the message I had written days ago, and added a single line. I am going on my own vacation. Enjoy yours. My thumb hovered over the screen. The aircraft doors thumped shut. The captain announced departure. The engines rumbled beneath my feet. I pressed send. Why did pressing send feel more terrifying than takeoff? My phone buzzed nonstop the moment the wheels touched down. The cabin lights flicked on as passengers unbuckled, but I stayed still, watching the notifications stack across my screen so quickly the banner alerts could not keep up. The first few were from Coraline. Mom, where are you? Answer me right now. This is not funny. Then they multiplied. Voicemails downloaded one after another. I pressed play on the newest one. Mom! Coraline's voice burst through, already cracking. We are boarding. They called our group. You said you were parking the car. Where did you go, Mom? The boys are scared. Do you understand what you are doing? A second voicemail arrived before the first finished. Pick up the phone, I swear. If you make us miss this. Her voice cut out with a choked sob. My stomach tightened, but I pressed play anyway. Rowan this time. Elira, this is not okay. You stranded us. The kids are crying. Coraline is having a meltdown. You need to get here right now. Another followed. We asked the gate agent to hold the flight. They said no. They said they cannot wait for one missing passenger. His breath shook with frustration. You put us in an impossible position. I scrolled. Dozens more waited. Then I saw the one Coraline must have sent when whatever patience she had finally snapped. The transcript preview read, You ruined our vacation. My hand trembled as I opened it. You ruined our vacation, she screamed, the words hitting like thrown stones. Do you know what the boys are saying? Do you know how embarrassed I am? Everyone is staring at us because you disappeared. I cannot believe you did this to your own family, a child cried faintly in the background, followed by Rowan's muffled attempt to calm the chaos. Someone called out boarding instructions. Coraline kept talking, her voice shaking with rage and something that sounded like fear. You were supposed to be here. You promised. You always show up. How could you do this to us? The message ended abruptly. A flight attendant stepped into the aisle, reminding passengers to collect their belongings. People stood, stretching, reaching for bags. My world remained very still. I locked my phone, slipped it into my tote, and rose from my seat. If I answered, would I be pulled right back into the life I was trying to escape? The next morning, silence felt like a foreign country. I was not sure I had the passport for. I woke in the small San Diego hotel room with no alarms, no urgent texts, no voices calling Mom or Nana. For a long moment, I lay still, listening to nothing but my own breathing. It felt unfamiliar, like stepping into a space I had never been allowed to enter. Downstairs, the hotel clerk greeted me with a soft, "Good morning, Ms. Caldwell." No one asked me to carry a bag, hold a hand, or solve a crisis. I walked out onto the sidewalk, letting the unfamiliar rhythm of a new city guide me. A vendor near the waterfront called out, "Ma'am, you looking for something special?" His table was covered in small trinkets carved wood, beaded bracelets, polished shells. I picked up a pendant shaped from abalone, iridescent and uneven. "It is real," he said. "Strong, but not perfect." I closed my fingers around it. "I will take this one." A few children darted past us, laughing. None of them belonged to me. No one tugged at my sleeve. No one waited for me to catch up. I was walking for myself, not behind anyone. I found a bench and sat, letting the quiet settle deeper. My phone sat heavy in my pocket. I knew what waited inside it. The pile of messages, emotions, accusations. For a while, I avoided touching it, savoring the thin ribbon of peace I had finally found, but eventually, I pulled it out. The message list was long. Coraline, Rowan, even my sister chiming in to scold me. I scrolled to the top, inhaled, and pressed select all. My thumb hesitated for only a moment before I tapped delete. Every message vanished in an instant. My eyes burned and blurred. The tears came quietly, not from pain, but from release. A weight I did not know I was still carrying slid off my shoulders. I traced the abalone pendant with my thumb, grounding myself in the moment I had claimed. Was this what freedom sounded like? Quiet. And mine. By the time I returned to Savannah, Coraline's perfect vacation had collapsed. I learned the details before I even reached my driveway. My sister called first, Elira. She said, breathless, "Coraline has been a wreck." She said the boys screamed the entire first flight. Rowan yelled at her in front of everyone. "They spent more than $3,000 trying to fix things you were supposed to handle." Her words. Not mine. I closed my car door gently. "I see. She is furious with you," my sister whispered, as if passing along a weather alert. "She says you abandoned her." I did not argue. I only said, "I am home," and hung up. 30 minutes later, someone pounded on my door. The force of the knock was familiar, the voice behind it even more so. "Mom, open up!" I opened the door carefully. Coraline stood on the porch, hair tangled, eyes red, still wearing the resort wristband. Rowan was in the car with the boys. Both children slumped over in exhausted sleep. She stepped inside without waiting for permission. "I cannot believe you," she said. "You left me to handle everything alone." I set my bag down. "You planned a vacation without speaking to me. I made my own plans. You blindsided us," she snapped. I had to juggle both kids by myself. Rowan and I fought every single day. We burned through our budget. You humiliated us. I looked at her calmly. "I did not humiliate you, Coraline. I simply stopped doing what you always expect me to do." She stared at me, chest rising too fast. "You should have warned me. I did not know I needed to warn you that I was a separate person." Her expression faltered just for a second before her anger surged back. "I want an apology," she said. "You owe me that." "I do not owe you an apology," I replied. She went quiet, as if the air around us had shifted and she did not understand how. What happens when someone asks for forgiveness but not change? Coraline stopped yelling when she realized I was not arguing back. She stood in my living room, fists tight at her sides. Her voice had hit every pitch of outrage, but mine stayed level. Something in that difference finally made her go still. "Mom," she said, "quieter now. You cannot just walk away from us. You cannot." "I did not walk away from you," I said. "I walked away from being your wallet, your nanny, and your backup plan." Her mouth opened, then closed again. "You make it sound like I used you." "You did," I answered, maybe not with malice. "But you did. Every crisis landed in my lap. Every bill you could not cover became mine. Every moment you wanted rest became my responsibility." She shook her head, tears streaking her cheeks. "I was overwhelmed. I thought you understood." "I did," I said softly. "I understood so well that I forgot I had a life of my own." Coraline's voice cracked. "So that is it. You are done with us. I am not done loving you. But I am done letting that love cost me everything." She staggered a step, as if the words had weight. "Rowan is furious," she whispered. "He said we need to split the childcare schedule from now on. He said relying on you made him lazy." "That sounds like responsibility," I replied. "My friends found out what happened," she went on, They said I treated you like a servant. She looked away, shame flickering across her face. I do not know how to fix any of it. Start by carrying what belongs to you, I said. I will not pay your bills anymore. I will not rearrange my life around your emergencies. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be one where I exist as a person, not a resource. She covered her face and cried, not with remorse, but with the shock of losing control she thought she would always have. When she finally left, the house fell quiet. I reached for the abalone pendant and fastened it around my neck, feeling its cool weight settle against my skin. I opened my laptop and typed the start of a search for my next trip. A small act, but fully mine. If choosing yourself is selfish, then why does it feel so much like coming home? And if this story touched you, tell me where you are listening from. I hope you find your version of freedom too.